Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. Today we're taking a look at AI and its potential impact on society.
Yeah, fascinating topic, right?
It is.
I mean, we've got,
Definitely.
everybody's talking about AI these days, it seems like.
For sure.
And it's not just, science fiction anymore. This is like
Yeah.
really impacting our lives.
Yeah, it's here.
So
It's really interesting.
for this deep dive, we are going to be looking at a YouTube video by Johnny Aris called What Happens When AI Goes Wrong?
Okay.
And we've also done some additional research, but that video really lays out a good framework for thinking about this topic.
Yeah, it does. And it kind of boils it down
It does.
to, 6 kind of potential scenarios.
Yes.
Which is, I think, helpful for people to kind of
Yeah,
get their heads around.
it is helpful. And one of the things that it really highlights is this tension between AI's problem-solving capabilities
Right.
and then the potential for unintended consequences.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and so we're going to kind of jump into that.
It's like a tool, right?
Use.
Any tool can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
Depends how we use it.
So let's jump in with that first scenario, predictive policing,
Okay.
which I don't know about you, but I immediately thought about the movie Minority Report
Yeah.
when I saw that.
It's a bit scary, isn't it?
A little bit.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's this idea of using AI to, predict who might commit crimes before they happen.
Right.
I mean,
And that sounds great on the surface.
on the one hand, but
But what are the implications of
yeah,
that?
but on the other hand, you've got
Yeah.
this system that's kind of like judging people based on data.
Right.
And what if that data's wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's biased or...
Yeah, and I think that this really kind of brings up this issue of bias in AI.
Right.
Because even if it's designed with the best of intentions,
Yeah.
if it's being trained on data, that is itself biased. It's going to perpetuate those biases.
Absolutely. And that's a real concern.
Yeah.
Because we've already seen with like facial recognition systems.
Yes.
There have been cases where there's been bias against certain
Demographics.
yeah. So you can imagine what would happen if you apply that to something like law enforcement.
Right.
It could be really dangerous.
It's a sensitive area to be using AI in.
Absolutely.
And it was really interesting to see how the EU is approaching this.
Right.
Because they're taking a very strong stance in their new AI bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which basically bans the use of AI systems for predictive policing.
They've basically said, no, you can't do this because the risks are just too high.
The potential for harm outweighs the potential benefits.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and I think that's right. It makes you wonder how other countries are going to move forward with this.
Yeah, are they going to follow suit?
Are they going to regulate it? Are they going to let it go unchecked?
I mean, that's one of the things about AI, right?
It's like, it's a global
a global conversation.
Conversation we need to have as a society.
Yeah.
Because these are big questions.
Absolutely. And the decisions that we make now are really going to impact the future.
For sure.
So speaking of impacting the future, let's move on to another scenario, which I think is something we can all relate to, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
Which is elections and democracy.
Okay.
And the video talks about how, with these AI-generated deepfakes,
Right.
it could really erode trust in information.
Yeah, and it's already happening.
It is.
I mean, you see these videos online, and it's hard to know
It's like, how do you know what's real?
what's real and what's not.
And what's not? And this goes beyond just spotting fakes.
Yeah.
This is about, what does it do to our faith in information itself?
Exactly. And that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
Because if you can't trust the information you see,
How can you make informed decisions?
how do you know what to believe?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're talking about voting and,
Exactly like in elections.
policies and,
How do you know who to vote for
all that.
if you don't know if the information's real?
And so the video points to a few things that are being done to try to address this.
Right.
One example is California
Okay.
has actually enacted a law
Oh, wow.
that requires online platforms to label or remove synthetic media,
Okay.
especially during elections.
Okay, so they're trying
They're trying to at least put some
safeguards in place.
some safeguards in place
Yeah.
to protect that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But is it enough?
Well, yeah, I mean, technology is always
It's moving so fast.
one step ahead
Yeah.
of the lawmakers.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think
It's hard to keep up.
it is. And that's why these conversations are so important.
Yeah,
We need to be thinking about this stuff
absolutely.
before it becomes a bigger problem.
Yeah, yeah. We need to be proactive,
Yeah.
not reactive.
And another potential solution that the video talks about that the EU is considering is actually watermarking synthetic media.
So you can tell
So you can tell right away that it's
if it's real or not.
not real. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to the need for more transparency and accountability
Absolutely.
in the digital world.
Yeah, because right now it's kind of a wild west out there.
It is a little bit.
You know, anything goes.
Okay, now this next scenario really hits close to home
Oh,
because it's about each of us
okay.
as individuals. And this is social scoring.
Oh,
And I'm sure you've seen like Black Mirror
yeah, yeah.
and all these shows that talk about this.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it?
It's a little creepy, yeah, where AI is like tracking your every move and assigning you a score
Yeah, yeah.
that then dictates your opportunities and your access to different things.
It's like judging you
Yeah.
constantly.
This brings up some serious concerns, I think, about privacy, fairness, discrimination. And the video makes this interesting point about
It does.
how it's kind of similar to the credit scoring system we have in the U.S., yeah,
in the U.S. already.
which already has some problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that can be unfair.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes.
So now imagine if you expand that.
It could be as much worse. To every area of your life.
Yeah, if everything's based on your score.
Right. And the thing is that these systems are often operating in a black box.
Yeah, you don't know how.
You don't know how
They're making the decisions.
the decisions or how they're coming to those scores.
Right. And if you don't know how it works,
Right.
how can you challenge it?
Right.
How could you say this is unfair?
Exactly. And that's where it gets really scary. It's
Yeah.
like, are we going to end up in a world where our lives are dictated by algorithms?
And you've got no control.
We don't understand.
Yeah, that's a worry.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I think
So I think we need to be careful
we need to be very careful
about how we develop these things.
and establish those guidelines and those regulations early on.
Yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about another scenario which is a little unsettling,
Okay.
which is nuclear weapons
Uh-oh.
and the potential role of AI
Right.
in warfare.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I immediately thought of like Terminator,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and this fear of like machines making life or death decisions.
Well, the video makes this distinction
It does.
between like a full-blown Skynet.
Which hopefully
I'm not there yet.
hopefully we never get there.
But even if AI just plays a small role
A small role
in these decisions,
is still terrifying.
yeah, that's still pretty scary. Because
Yeah.
what if it makes a mistake?
And that's what's so scary about it is like,
yeah. And especially with nuclear weapons.
right, like
Like, you don't want any mistakes.
you don't want AI
Yeah.
miscalculating or misinterpreting information
Right.
in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
So the video talks about how there's actually a bill in the U.S. Senate
Oh, really?
that's aimed at preventing autonomous AI
Okay.
from launching nuclear weapons.
So they're trying to prevent that.
They are. But
Yeah.
it also brings up all these other questions
Yeah.
about other applications of AI
Like, where else could it be used?
in warfare. Like
Yeah.
it talks about
Yeah.
how AI is already being used in some militaries for target identification and things like that,
Right.
which raises a whole other set of ethical dilemmas.
Yeah.
Like what if an AI-guided system makes a mistake
And kills the wrong people.
and results in civilian casualties?
Yeah. Who's responsible for that?
Who is held accountable?
Yeah.
How do you ensure that these systems are used ethically and responsibly,
Right.
especially in like the heat of battle?
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
So
That's a whole other conversation.
that's a whole other conversation. But for now,
Yeah.
we're going to move on
Yep.
and talk about AI's impact on
Okay.
critical sectors
Wait.
that underpin our daily lives.
Water and electricity and stuff.
Yeah, so we're talking about the things that we rely on every single day.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
things like water,
Yeah.
electricity, transportation.
Yeah.
And AI has this potential to really optimize these systems,
Right. It could make them much better.
make it more efficient,
Yeah. More efficient, more reliable.
more reliable. But as the video points out,
Yeah.
there's also the risk of becoming overly reliant
Yeah.
on AI.
What if it goes wrong?
And what happens if something goes wrong?
Yeah. That's the question.
And so it uses this example
Okay.
of a water treatment plant
Okay.
that's entirely managed by AI.
Am I right?
And it's like, what happens if the AI makes a miscalculation?
Yeah. Or if there's like a sensor that fails.
Or a sensor fails or a bug or something, you know? It's like
It could be disaster.
the potential for disaster is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same thing we've been talking about this black box problem.
Right.
It's like if you don't understand
How it works.
how the AI is making decisions,
Yeah.
it's really hard to identify problems and fix them
You can't just go in and tinker with it.
quickly.
You know, you
Right.
have to understand how it's working
So it's not just about implementing AI. It's about having the right safeguards
The right safeguards.
and oversight in place.
Yeah, human oversight, I think, is really important.
Yeah, and I think that brings us to this really important point, which is this human element.
Yeah,
Even in an increasingly automated world,
right.
I think human judgment
Human judge
and expertise
Yeah.
remains essential.
You can't just hand over everything to the machines.
And we need to make sure that humans are always in the loop,
In the loop, yeah.
especially when it comes to these really critical infrastructure.
Absolutely. And that's something that comes up again and again
It does.
in the video.
Yeah.
This idea that AI is a tool,
Yeah.
not a replacement for humans.
Not a replacement.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to remember.
It is. And so I think
Yeah.
it's about finding that balance
Yeah,
of harnessing the power
of AI.
of AI
Yeah.
while still maintaining that.
Human control.
Human control and accountability.
Absolutely.
But speaking of harnessing power,
Yeah.
the video does end on a more optimistic note.
Does it?
It does.
Okay, good.
It does. It highlights, the potential of AI
Okay.
to really solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
All right.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Good.
There's a lot to be excited about
I like that.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So it talks about how AI could revolutionize healthcare,
Okay.
combat climate change,
Wow.
improve lives in countless ways.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like we're on the cusp of a new era,
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like that.
a possibility.
A lot of potential.
So think about like AI-powered systems that could diagnose diseases
Right.
earlier and more accurately than ever before,
Wow.
or personalized treatment plans
Yeah.
based on individual genetic profiles, or even develop entirely new drugs and therapies.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Right.
And it talks about how AI is already being used to analyze medical images,
Wow.
predict patient outcomes,
Mhm.
even assist surgeons during complex procedures.
It's amazing.
So
Yeah, so it's already happening.
it is, and it's not just healthcare.
Right.
It talks about how AI could play a crucial role in addressing climate change
Okay.
by helping us to optimize energy grids,
Yeah.
develop more efficient renewable energy sources,
Right.
and even capture carbon emissions
Wow.
from the atmosphere.
So it could be a really powerful tool.
Yeah, I love the idea of using AI
Yeah.
to monitor deforestation in real time
Yeah.
or to predict extreme weather events with greater accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be great.
It's like giving us this powerful new tool in
What?
a fight against climate change.
Yeah. And it's not just about like scientists and engineers using AI. I
Right.
think it can empower individuals as well.
So give me an example. How could AI empower everyday people?
Well, think about education, for example.
Okay.
You could have AI-powered tutoring systems
Yeah.
that are personalized to each student's needs and their pace.
Okay.
So it could make education
Yeah.
much more effective and accessible
That's great.
for everyone.
What about like breaking down language barriers?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
That's another great example.
AI tools that could translate languages in real time.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that would really foster greater understanding and collaboration
Yeah, for sure.
across cultures.
So what does all of this mean for our listeners?
Yeah,
They're probably thinking, okay, this is all fascinating, but
but how does it affect me?
yeah, how does it actually affect me?
Right.
And the truth is AI is already impacting your life,
It is.
even if you don't realize it.
From the
Okay.
algorithms that decide what you watch on Netflix
Yes.
to the voice assistants on your phone.
Like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And as we've seen today, it has this potential to be both incredibly beneficial
Yeah.
and incredibly disruptive.
Yeah.
So the choices that we make now
Right.
about how we develop and use AI
Yeah.
are really going to shape the world that we live in
The world of tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this question that we're going to be exploring in part 2
Okay.
of this deep dive, which
Then
is
what do you do about it?
what can you, our listener,
Yeah.
actually do
Yeah.
to shape the future of AI?
Yeah. I think that's a really important question
Stay tuned.
because we're going to get into that right after a quick break.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, right?
It is.
The same AI that could streamline our commutes and keep our lights on
Right.
could also leave us stranded in traffic
Yeah.
or facing a citywide blackout
Exactly.
if a system malfunctions.
Yeah. It's a bit scary.
It's like putting all our eggs in one basket,
Yeah.
which makes me a little uneasy.
Well, and the video uses this example of a water treatment plant
It does.
that's entirely managed by AI.
Yeah.
And you think, well,
What happens if
what happens if that goes wrong?
the AI makes a miscalculation
Yeah.
or a sensor fails?
Right.
It's like
It could be a disaster.
the potential for disaster is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, we're back to that black box problem.
Right. We don't know how it's making those decisions.
Exactly. And so it's hard to identify
Right.
and fix problems quickly.
Right. You can't just go in and, tinker
Right.
with it.
So it's not just about implementing AI.
No.
It's about having those safeguards
Yeah.
and the oversight in place.
Human oversight.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this brings us to a crucial point,
Yeah.
which is that human element.
Right.
Even in an increasingly automated world,
Yeah.
human judgment and expertise
Human judgment.
are still essential.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And we need to ensure that humans are always in the loop,
In the loop. Yeah.
especially when it comes to critical infrastructure.
I think so too.
You've hit on this theme that keeps coming up,
Yeah.
which is this idea that AI is a tool,
Right.
not a replacement.
Not a replacement.
And finding that balance, yeah, it's all about balance.
Is really important.
Yeah, yeah.
But speaking of harnessing the power of AI,
Okay.
the video does end on a more optimistic note,
Okay, good. I like that.
highlighting the incredible potential
Okay.
of AI to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
All right.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Good.
There is a lot to be excited about.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, so it talks about how AI could revolutionize healthcare,
Oh,
combat climate change,
wow.
improve lives in countless ways.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's almost like we're on the cusp of a new era of possibility.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
know, AI-powered systems that could diagnose diseases
Right.
earlier and more accurately than ever before.
Yeah.
Personalized treatment plans based on individual genetic profiles.
Right.
Develop new drugs and therapies.
Yeah.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
And it talks about how AI is already being used to analyze medical images,
Yeah.
predict patient outcomes,
Mhm.
even assist surgeons during complex procedures. It's incredible.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
And it's not just healthcare.
right.
The video talks about how AI could play a crucial role in addressing climate change.
Okay.
Helping us to optimize energy grids,
Yeah,
develop more efficient renewable energy sources,
right.
and even capture carbon emissions from the atmosphere.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I love the idea of using AI to monitor deforestation
Yeah,
in real time
yeah.
or predict extreme weather events with greater accuracy.
That would be so helpful.
It would be.
Yeah,
It's like giving us this powerful new tool in the fight against climate change.
it would.
And the video makes this really good point,
Yeah,
which is that this isn't just about like scientists and engineers
right.
using AI.
It's not just for the experts.
It's not just for the experts.
Yeah.
It has the potential to empower individuals
Empower individuals.
in ways we're only beginning to imagine.
Right.
So, like, give me an example.
Well, think about education. AI-powered tutoring systems that are personalized to each student's needs and their pace,
Yeah.
making quality education more accessible
That's amazing.
and effective for everyone.
What about, like, breaking down language barriers?
Oh,
Like
another great example.
real-time translation tools powered by AI.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that could foster greater understanding and collaboration across cultures.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So what does all this mean for our listeners?
What does it mean for our listeners?
Right. They're probably thinking,
They're probably thinking, okay,
which is all fascinating, but
it's all very
does
interesting.
it affect me?
How does this affect my life?
Right.
And the truth is, AI is already impacting your life,
It is.
even if you don't realize it.
In so many ways.
It's in the algorithms that suggest what to watch on Netflix.
Right.
It's in the voice assistants that
Yeah.
you talk to on your smartphone.
Exactly.
And as we've seen today,
Yeah.
AI has the potential to be both incredibly beneficial
Yeah.
and incredibly disruptive.
Yeah. It's a powerful tool.
So the choices that we make now
Right.
about how we develop and use AI
Yeah.
are really going to shape the world we live in
A world of tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the crucial question we'll be exploring in the final part
Okay.
of this deep dive.
The big question.
What can you,
Yeah.
our listener,
what can we do?
to shape the future of AI?
Yeah. What can we do?
We'll be getting into that after a quick break.
Okay. Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into AI and society. We've looked at the potential risks and the incredible opportunities, and now it's time to get personal.
Yeah. It's all well and good talking about the big picture, but the question is, what can you, our listener, do to shape the future of AI?
Right. It feels like this huge thing, you know?
Yeah. It can feel a bit overwhelming.
It can. So where do we even start?
Well, First things first, I think becoming informed is key. We've only just scratched the surface today. There are so many resources out there.
It can be a bit overwhelming, all the information out there.
It can. But you don't need to become an AI expert overnight. Just start with something that interests you,
Right.
A book, a podcast, another YouTube video, whatever it might be.
Yeah, find something that resonates.
Exactly. Grasp the fundamental concepts, the potential benefits, the potential risks.
Okay, so knowledge is power. Got it.
Yeah.
But once we have that knowledge, what can we actually do with it?
Well, for one thing, be mindful of your own data. Remember all that stuff we talked about with AI bias and surveillance?
Yeah.
Well, the data you generate every day is what feeds these algorithms.
Oh, totally, yeah. It's easy to just click accept on those cookie notices. Not even think about it.
We've all done it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's worth taking a moment to consider, what are you sharing online? What apps are you using? How's your data being collected?
It's about being an informed consumer.
Absolutely.
But beyond our personal data, is there a way to influence how AI is being developed, on a larger scale?
Definitely. One thing you can do is support organizations promoting ethical AI.
Okay, so put our money where our mouth is.
Exactly. There are groups out there advocating for transparency, accountability, fairness, pushing for regulations that protect individual rights, prevent harmful applications.
So find those groups, support them. What else?
Get involved in citizen science projects, participate in online discussions, even contact your elected officials to voice your concerns.
Oh, reach out to policymakers. That's a great idea.
They need to hear from their constituents about these issues, especially as AI becomes more integrated into our lives.
They do. And it's not just about technical expertise, is it?
Not at all. Everyone has a role to play. Artists, ethicists, everyday citizens.
Demanding transparency.
Exactly. We need diverse perspectives.
Open dialogue.
Absolutely.
So to our listeners out there, it's time to move beyond the hype and the fear. Start thinking critically about this AI-powered world we're creating.
It's not pre-programmed. We have the power to shape it.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI and society. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep shaping the future you want to see.